into my eyes, and suddenly his face was so close to
سلام بچه‌ها، می‌خوایم بریم یه دونه انیمیشن از کانال ما استوری انیمیتد ببینیم. منم ندیدم، بریم با هم دیگه ببینیم. بزن بریم.
Hi, my name is Sasha, and I'm a popular singer with the wealthiest parents in town. Before I continue, please like and subscribe. Selling out concerts weekly and dealing with fans around the world might sound fun, but you know what's even cooler? Partying. All night long. In the middle of my show, I escaped with my boyfriend Theo to go to the biggest island party ever. But when he pulled over to a helicopter pad, my excitement turned to panic. I thought we were going to use a yacht. You know I have a phobia of heights, right? It's a 5-minute ride. You're just being melodramatic. Get over it. Get over it? Enjoy the party without this drama queen then. Babe, come on. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I just ignored him and stormed off. As I walked back to the city, I noticed a person in a hooded jacket following me. I grabbed my stiletto and yelled at him. Why are you hiding, dude? Are you scared? Don't worry. I don't bite. To my surprise, he just threw a magazine at me and ran away. What the chocolate fudge? I picked it up and realized that it was my magazine, with a death threat drawn all over my face. Unfortunately for him, I was fearless. The threats kept coming over the weekend. My parents had always wanted to hire a bodyguard for me, but I didn't want some boring old guy to...
هم بگم که یه سری از انیمیشن این کانال واقعیه، بر اساس داستان‌های واقعی. امیدوارم این بر اساس داستان واقعی نباشه. خیلی تا الانش ترسناک شروع شد. ترسیدم. اینم چیکار میکنه؟
keep following me around, but this time they wouldn't take no for an answer. When I finally saw my bodyguard, I almost passed out. He was the most exquisite specimen of a man I had ever seen, and he looked just a few years older than me. Hey, handsome. Are you sure you're a bodyguard and not my next boyfriend? To my surprise, he didn't smile a bit. Rude. You look too young for this job. How can I trust you? Suddenly, a ball from our neighbor came hurling right at me, and he instantly caught it with one hand. Trust me, I'm really good at my job. You can check my records. Your father has everything you need. Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's go. He opened the car door for me, and as I slipped in, I actually brushed my shoulder on his chest, and oh my, it felt harder than a rock. When we arrived at school, Theo didn't look so happy to see me with my young bodyguard. He pulled me aside and said, "Look, babe, I know I insulted you the other night, but getting back at me by flirting with another guy, how could you? He's my freaking bodyguard. I'm still mad at you for what you did, and now you're accusing me of cheating?" Suddenly, Damon stepped in. Is there a problem here? Stay out of this, man. Theo tried to push him aside, but Damon pounced on him and pinned him to the ground.
دعوا ناموسی شد. به قرآن دعوا ناموسی شد. ببین سر دختره حالا هم دیگه جر و جر میکنه.
What the heck are you doing? Let go of me, idiot. Hey, stop it. Damon finally released my boyfriend after a minute. As expected, Theo went psycho. I immediately blocked him before he got his butt kicked by Damon. That's enough, Theo. He's just doing his job. Why do you need a bodyguard when you have me? I'm your boyfriend. I'll protect you. A small spider suddenly landed on his shoulder, and he ran screaming. Protect my butt. As I walked down the hall,
پسرش شوشقوریا بود. یوسف دور. ای چقدر لوس. جلو دوست دخترت یه ذره خودت نگرده، یه ذره خودت با متانت آقا نشون بده. ببین اینه زیاد بگی. ماشاءالله هزار الله اکبر.
literally drooling all over him. He looks more like a model than a bodyguard. He can be the father of my children. He's way more attractive than Theo. I really want to feel his biceps. These girls sounded so desperate, but they were right. When I reached our classroom, my best friend Tessa came up to me with my favorite coffee. Hey girl, so I brought you your... Damon suddenly snatched it and started sniffing it. He then took a sip and waited for a few seconds before saying, "Clear." As he gave it back to me, Tessa was glaring at him. Excuse me, did you really think that I'll poison my best friend? Just doing my job. Tessa then dragged me to a corner. So you're giving up your privacy just like that? I can see that he's very attractive.
چه بابا حالی داره وا، چه بابا حالی داره. ببین بادیگارد برش چی انتخاب کرده، دستی باباش درد نکنه، خیلی زحمت کشیده.
Something about him screams bad news. He even sounds like a demon. You have to get rid of him ASAP. Oh, come on, girl. It's just his first day. Let's see. But Tessa was right. I didn't have a second of privacy. Damon followed me around every freaking second. He stood behind me in all of my classes and even in restrooms. It was so awkward. At home, he'd just stand outside my door, and I never saw him sleep. And worse, he had this permanent ice-cold expression on his face that gave me chills. I had a recording event one night, and when I reached the studio, a guy came rushing toward me. He was about to draw out something from his back pocket when suddenly, Damon grabbed his arm and twisted it. "Drop your weapon." What? I just wanted an autograph from her, man. Damon let go of the poor guy, and it was so embarrassing. What's the matter with you? I'm a popular singer, so you have to get used to my fans. Just doing my job.
ببین میگم معروفیت و محبوبیت ها اینا سخته. یکی سختیاش همینه. این در ازش محافظت کنه ولی اون دیگه حریم شخصی نداره. دیگه حریمی خصوصی تو دیگه آره. خلاص شو. ریده شد تو حریم خصوصی.
Calm down, Sasha. Calm down. The next day at school, Theo kept following me around to apologize, but I still ignored him until he said, "My producer cousin is throwing an exclusive yacht party with some A-listers this weekend. She's a fan of yours, and she'd be ecstatic if you came." He had my attention now. Parties were my weakness. Not so fast, sweetheart. Hang out with me tomorrow? Okay, fine. Theo requested not to bring Damon to our date tomorrow, so I talked to him in private. "My job is not to leave your side for a minute. So sorry, can't do." He was so firm about this, so I finally gave up and let him come with us. We went to a private movie theater and watched a super sad movie together. Minutes into the movie, Theo and I were already crying our hearts out, while Damon had no reaction at all. What was he, a robot? After the movie, we went to a fancy restaurant and I was having a good time with the lobster until Theo started forcing himself on me. "Just one kiss, babe. Come on." "Not now, Theo. We're in a public place and people are staring." But he was persistent. Just then, Damon grabbed him and threw him away like a piece of paper. Theo was furious. He grabbed a chair, but before he could hit Damon with it, I pushed him away. "Stop it! Right now!" "Your stupid bodyguard started it. Why don't you tell him to get a life and go home to his mommy?" "No, Theo. You go home." I immediately called him a cab, and when he was finally gone, I turned to Damon angrily. "I know he was being a jerk, but I can handle my personal life. You don't have to interfere every freaking second." "He was disrespecting your personal space." "Your job is to keep me safe, not to meddle in my personal matters. Know your boundaries." "Apologies. It will never happen again." I actually didn't mind that Theo got the thrashing he deserved, but Damon always being around was just getting on my nerves. A few days later at a concert, I was performing my new...
معروفیتی خیلی بزرگ، خیلی چیزام بعض وقتا دیگه اعصاب خورد کنه دیگه هیچ حریم شخصی بر خودت نداری. حالا درسته این پسری بلا دوست پسر خوبی نبود. خیلی حول ککی بود. بادیگارد به این قشنگی به بادیگارد نگاه کن. حالا درسته زیادی کناره ده ولی خود دیگه همین است که هست.
newest single, and everyone was singing along with me. It felt amazing. Some of them even started climbing up on the stage to join me. Suddenly, Damon jumped in and pushed them off stage. What in the world? He then lifted me and carried me to the backstage in the middle of my freaking performance. I finally had enough. My parents are paying you to protect me, not to annoy me and screw up my concerts. Your life is in danger, ma'am. You have to treat everyone as an enemy. That is ridiculous. Whoever sends those stupid threats is probably just some harmless loser. Better to be safe than sorry. I complained to my parents about his behavior, but they praised him for it. But he's ruining my career and even my personal life. He's just doing his job, honey, and that's to make sure you're safe all the time.
اما خوب پسرم داره کارشو میکنه. خداش کارشم خوب داره انجام میده.
They were hopeless cases, so I resorted to Tessa instead, and she came up with a plan. Test his patience, annoy him, do everything you can to make him quit. You're good at that, you gorgeous brat. I love the sound of it, girl. You're the best. Of course I am. I stayed up at 4 a.m. that night to disturb Damon in his sleep, but to my surprise, he was already up. "I need you to get my favorite Starbucks coffee." "That's not part of my job description." "Do it. or I'll make your job harder. Fine. What's your order? 1 iced venti caramel macchiato with 6 shots of mocha, 1/4 non-fat milk, 1/8 almond milk with medium whipped cream, and a caramel drizzle with a rose design on top, in a biodegradable takeaway cup with a pink straw. Got it. What? I was just messing with him, but to my surprise, he immediately left. And holy mother of toads, he came back with my exact order. How? Anything else? That's all for now. Later that day, I went to the mall and went on a crazy shopping spree, making him carry all my bags to tire him out. But he was like a machine. I entered a clothing store, and as I tried on all the prettiest clothes, I kept asking for his opinion, but he wasn't paying attention. Hello? Aren't you gonna give me a compliment or something? Giving an opinion about your outfits is not part of my job, ma'am. Any normal guy would have been drooling at me by now. He must be a cyborg. To get back at him, I faked a sprain and forced him to carry me on his back, but he was still as strong as a freaking tank. Finally giving up, I went to the bathroom with everything I'd bought and escaped through the window. After making sure that I'd lost him, I went to an orphanage and gave out all the clothes to the kids. While I was having fun with them, Tessa sent me some pictures of Theo kissing a blonde girl in a restaurant. At this point, I didn't even care. Theo was trash. I immediately sent him a message and told him that we were done.
گفتم دوست پسرت یه حوالی بی خودیه. دیدی؟ بادیگاردت خوبه، دوست پسرت خیلی حواله ککی.
He started calling me immediately, so I just blocked him. Problem solved. Later, I went to a local club to celebrate my breakup, and while I was dancing my heart out, I was shocked to see someone watching me from the bar. Damon! Of course he tracked me down. A cute guy tried to dance with me, and suddenly, Damon came and pushed him away. Hey, listen, buddy, I'm sick of this. If you're gonna keep scaring all the other guys away, you dance with me. I don't mix business with pleasure. Dance with me, or go sit quietly in a corner while I find someone. Before I could poke the guy next to me, Damon suddenly grabbed my hand to dance. Just then, the song shifted to a slow, romantic one, and he pulled me in closer by the waist. It's not so bad, is it? If you say so, ma'am. You can say my name, you know. If you say so, Sasha. He had the faintest smile on his face, and my heart skipped a beat. We slow danced as he looked deep into my eyes, and suddenly, his face was so close to mine. Just then, he pulled away from me, like he'd had an electric shock. We need to go home. But it's still early. Safety reasons. Ugh, he was so annoying. When we got home, I saw a box sitting on my bed, and when I opened it, lots of rats jumped out and started running all over the room. Damon saw a little note inside, and for the first time ever, it scared me. For real. Someone broke into your room. This person means business. We have to be more careful, ma'am. He suggested that I shouldn't go to school for the next few days for safety, and I agreed. One night, my manager called and reminded me of my concert in Paris the next day. It was my biggest one yet, and I had to go. I don't think you should be making publices till we find out who's trying to hurt you. No, I'm not gonna let some creep scare me and make me decide what I should do. This was planned in advance, and all the tickets are sold, and I'm not canceling. Damon was forced to allow me, but on one condition. We had to share a hotel room so he could keep a constant eye on me. When we were finally in Paris, I rehearsed my songs all night while he was constantly looking out the window. The next morning, I found him still asleep on the couch when something on the floor caught my attention. A picture of a beautiful girl in his wallet. She looked around my age. I quickly put the
خارشه به درت بد را نده. خارشه کس دیگه نیست. نه؟ بالا من حدس بزنم.
wallet away, feeling something weird. Was I jealous? No, of course not. Why would I care if he had a girlfriend? Hours before the concert, while my makeup team was working on me, Damon suddenly snatched me away. Can't you just postpone this? It's too dangerous. I told you, I can't. Please, Sasha, just listen to me. I care about you, you know? Oh, do you? I thought I was your only client. Just do your job, which is to keep me alive, and let me do my job, which is to entertain people. And actually, I prefer it when you call me ma'am. You got me? Loud and clear, ma'am. During my concert, I tried not to think of Damon and the death threats, and it was going so well. In the middle of my performance, I saw Damon in the crowd, and he was smiling at me. He looked so lovely. No, snap out of it, Sasha. He has a girlfriend. While I was singing my fourth song, I suddenly spotted a hooded figure in the crowd, and he was aiming something at me. No, no, no. I froze in panic, but just then a strong pair of arms grabbed me and carried me off the stage, and I looked up to see Damon's tense face. Stay here. Don't move. He returned a few minutes later, saying he'd lost the hooded figure. I was still shaking in fear, and he gently picked me up and we returned to the hotel. He tucked me into bed and sat on a chair close by. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, feeling safe as he watched over me. Sometime later, I felt him fixing my blanket and gently caressing my cheek as he left. Why did he do that? And why was it giving me a heart attack? When I woke up the next morning, I peeked into the kitchen and smiled when I saw him dancing while cooking our breakfast. It was the first time I saw him looking so human. I felt shy when he turned to me. I didn't have any makeup on. That's the first time I've seen you without makeup, and you look even more beautiful than usual. Is complimenting me part of your job?
بادیگارد حرف زدنشون به به حرف زدنشون خوبه ماشاءالله.
Now? Maybe. I knew it. No one can ever resist my charms, not even my emotionless bodyguard. I wonder what your girlfriend would say about this. I assume you're talking about the picture of the girl in my wallet. Gosh, was he actually awake that time? He revealed that it was his sister, and they grew up in the orphanage together. He lost
من گفتم این خارشه. من نگفتم؟ بگین آفرین به من. احسنت به من.
Her because he'd failed to protect her, and that's why he became a bodyguard. She'd always wanted to go to Paris and go up the Eiffel Tower. I suddenly felt brave. Let's go there then, for her. After what happened yesterday, there's no way I'm allowing you to go anywhere. Also, I know from your file that you're afraid of heights. I'm not scared when I have you around. I'll be fine, I promise. He finally agreed, but later as we were climbing onto the escalator at the Eiffel Tower, he must have noticed I was nervous. Are you sure about this? We can just go back, you know. No, I can do this. When we reached the top, I squealed and covered my eyes. You made it to the top. You have to see this view now. I don't know if I can. How about you take a look, and we'll go down? But I don't want you to miss this, Sasha. I've got you. Do you trust me? Yes, I do. Okay then, open your eyes when I say so. I kept my eyes shut as he led me forward, and then suddenly, I felt his arms wrap around my waist. Now. I opened my eyes, and I gasped. I was so close to the edge, and the whole glittering city was in front of me, and I'd never felt safer in my life. Damon? Yes? Have you ever fallen for a client? My smile instantly faded at his answer. No, it would never happen. I can't do my job well if I'm emotionally involved. So, it was just me who was feeling this. He was just being nice to his client. After a week, I had to go back to school for the final exams. I looked for Tessa so we could study together in the library, but I couldn't find her. I sat down to study alone and let Damon stand by the door so I could focus. Minutes later, he barged in and yelled, "Sasha, look out." To my horror, the huge bookshelf behind me began to fall on me, but Damon leapt forward and pushed me out of harm's way, and it fell on him. He was in the hospital for a week, and despite my parents' protests that I needed to stay safe at home, I insisted on visiting him every day. One day, while I was in the waiting area, Tessa came to see me with my favorite coffee, but before I could take a sip, a hand suddenly slapped the cup away. We turned to see Damon and a cop beside him, who suddenly put handcuffs on Tessa. "What are you doing, you moron?" Damon, what's happening? Suddenly, he revealed something that blew my mind. Tessa was the one who'd pushed the bookshelf on me. I'd been keeping an eye on her and studying her. That day, I saw her enter the library from the back door, and I knew she was up to no good. I'm sure your coffee is poisoned too.
آقا چقدر بد بود. ای خیلی ناراحت شدم. ضربه یه راسته نزدیکترین کسش خورد. خیلی آموزنده بود. My best friend was trying to hurt me? Tessa, why? And suddenly, Tessa turned into a monster because I hate you. You have everything I've ever wanted. Beauty, talent, fame, wealth. Theo, life is so unfair. I would have gotten rid of you already if your stupid body pain. She screamed as the cop dragged her away, and I was left speechless. Damon then pulled me into a hug. Are you okay? I'll be fine. How are you? I'm okay, but I can't be your bodyguard anymore, Sasha. I just
can't fight my feelings for you anymore, and it's wrong. If I fire you right now, will you be my boyfriend instead? Without a word, he grabbed my face and finally kissed me on the lips. I took that as a yes.
تا انیمیشن بعدی خدافظ. بای بای.